The Deputy Managing Director of IMF, Minzu, says consolidating fiscal and debt sustainability is critical for Ghana. At a media briefing in Accra to throw light on the country's performance on the IMF bailout program, he observed the positive review is an indication the government is committed to make the program work.
The IMF last year approved a $918 million three-year bailout for the country for policy credibility and to shore up the city. The third tranche of $114.6 million has been approved by disbursement, bringing the total so far to $343.7 million. The Deputy Managing Director of IMF, Minzu, indicated the bailout program is on course.
We just finished the second review. The program is on track. We welcome the strong commitment from the authority. In the past less than a year, authority really stick on the fiscal principle and manage the debts well, push for the structural reform, and also tackle the energy issues, which is a key bottleneck for the economy.
He outlined the effect challenges in the world market is impacting on the country.
Oil price is very volatile. It's really on downside. As I said, I expect to see oil prices stay low for a while. So that will put pressure on Ghana because you do have a plan to do that. So in this period when oil price is getting low, oil still will generate or be benefit for the economy, but the further diversification support the manufacturing sector, I think is also important.
Minzu observed this will bring interest rates down, leading to stability. One of the conditionalities was fiscal discipline, such as not overspending in an election year.
Why interest rates way high? Why inflation is way high? Why exchange rates is so weak? Because the debts. Because the budget deficits. So that's the deep core. To solve this macro unbalanced, unstable situations, we had the broad consultation, and with the authorities, we finally agreed we need to tackle the key issue is the fiscal disciplines and fiscal consolidations.
And the private sector has called for transparency in the IMF bailout program and other dealings by the government. Deputy Managing Director of the IMF, Minzu, indicated players in the private sector want authorities to be committed to policies which will sustain economic growth.
The business environment has become tougher because cost of financing increase and exchange rate increase import tariffs and indirectly, and explain to them the approach the authorities taking and we are taking to solve those issues and try to manage the trend, move down, move into the right direction. I would say at the end, all the business community, I won't say all, but majority business community agree with this approach.
Minzu indicated the concerns of the private sector as presented to him has been communicated to the authorities.
They ask for the authority to do more communication and transparency to them. They want to know the data, they want to know the factor, they want to know the authority's commitment. At 7:30, I had a dinner with your vice president. I seriously passed this message to him. I met your president. I passed this message to him as one of my key message, and we all agree, enhance the communication, improve transparency.
And the Minister of Finance said Tekbe has hinted of a possibility to review the 2016 budget. The minister pegged a barrel of crude oil at $51 in the budget, but the price of the commodity has seen some downward volatility, with the price of a barrel currently hovering around the $29 mark.
We went to Parliament to give the minister the discretion, the option of using a lower figure, subject to approval by Parliament. So even though the benchmark revenue should have been $86, we prepared a budget based on $53.
He indicated that various scenarios are being considered due to the price dip.
Now to revise it to the average of 45 will be tough, but it's a lesser of a yeoman's job compared to $40. That's just an $8. And we are preparing the scenarios. We would go to cabinet, and pretty soon, we would, I believe, subject to the decision of cabinet, we would, come out, with the fiscal position in accordance. So there is precedent, and if we don't do that, you raise expectations that there is ministries, departments, and agencies can spend at a price of $53, which does not exist.
The Minister of State in charge of Private Sector Development and Public-Private Partnership, Dr. Rashid Pelpo, says loan facilities at very low interest rates will be considered to enhance access to cheaper sources of financing. He was speaking at a forum as part of initiatives to bridge the financing gap faced by SMEs.
Small and medium-scale enterprises constitute about 90% of registered businesses. 160,000 businesses are registered as limited liabilities, whilst 350,000 are sole proprietorship. Though SMEs form the greater part of Ghana's economy, access to financing remains a major hindrance to their success. At a stakeholders forum on SME financing, the Ministry of Private Sector Development and Public-Private Partnership, together with related institutions, presented ways of sourcing financing at a cheaper cost. The Association of Ghana Industries is worried various funding interventions by the government are not accessible.
We don't lack the availability of cheaper sources of credit, but the challenge has been their operations. Last year, almost all applications of AGI members for EDI funding were turned down. Of course, we are asking for the commitment of such credit facilities to be able to see how best they can facilitate such credit facilities for SMEs also to really benefit.
The Deputy Minister of Trade and Industry, Murtala Mohammed, advised entrepreneurs to be ready to take risk.
They either do not know where they get the resources, or they are afraid to risk. And in every investment, you must be prepared to risk. And I think that is the challenge. In as much as government will provide an enabling environment, and through these deliberations and discussions, we look at other prospective ways of getting funding for the private sector, I think that we must also be prepared to risk.
High interest rates, limited funds, and mode of payments run through submissions by participants.
There will be an Exim Bank from the government side to guarantee SME borrowing, so that when they borrow, government does the guaranteeing. The second other response is to ensure that some of the bigger SMEs, which should be taking a bigger chunks of money, will also be insured by the insurance companies. They are trying to give loans to SMEs at a very low rate of 12%.
A financing fair scheduled for March 16 and 17 seeks to bring together stakeholders to discuss crucial issues on SME financing.